Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to remind you that your life is not a product of chance. It is a product of choice. Every choice you make is a seed planted in the soil of your future. If you want to change your life, you must change the principles you live by. Because principles are the foundation, they shape your mindset, your habits, and your results. And if you can commit to living by these 7 principles, your life will never be the same again. Principle 1. Clarity is power. You cannot hit a target you cannot see. Too many people drift through life wishing for change without defining what change actually looks like. Ask yourself, what exactly do I want in my health, my relationships, my finances, my career? Write it down, speak it out loud. Clarity creates confidence, and confidence creates action. Principle 2, discipline over desire. Motivation is temporary, inspiration fades, but discipline, the commitment to show up when you don't feel like it, will carry you further than raw talent ever could. Success is not built on what you do once in a while. It is built on what you do daily, consistently, without excuses. Principle 3, embrace the growth mindset. Life is not about being perfect, it's about becoming better. The world belongs to those who learn, unlearn, and relearn. Failures are not the end, they are feedback. When you adopt a growth mindset, you stop fearing mistakes and start using them as stepping stones to mastery. Principle 4, take purpose-driven action. Every successful person you admire lives by purpose. Money is not enough. Fame is not enough. When you are connected to a purpose bigger than yourself, your energy multiplies. Your focus sharpens, your persistence strengthens. Purpose is the fuel that keeps you moving when the road gets tough. Principle 5, protect your environment. Show me your circle, and I'll show you your future. You cannot soar like an eagle if you spend all your time with pigeons. Surround yourself with people who challenge you, inspire you, and push you higher. Change your environment, and you will automatically change your behavior. Principle 6, master your time. Time is the most valuable asset you own. Unlike money, once it's gone, you can't get it back. The principle here is simple. Stop wasting time on distractions and start investing time in what matters. Success is not about doing everything. It's about doing the right things consistently. Principle 7, contribution creates fulfillment. True success is not just what you achieve, it's what you give. When you help others grow, you grow too. Contribution creates meaning. It connects you to people, to purpose, to impact. And in the end, contribution is the principle that makes success feel complete. Ladies and gentlemen, these 7 principles are not theories. They are tools. They are not just ideas to hear. They are habits to live. If you want to change your life, start here. Choose clarity. Commit to discipline. Adopt growth. Live with purpose. Protect your environment. Master your time. And give back through contribution. Because your life will not change by accident. It will change by principle. And the moment you decide to live by these principles, you begin to design a life of purpose, power, and success. Clarity is power, and nothing in life transforms until you decide to get crystal clear about what you truly want. Too many people live their lives in a fog of uncertainty. They wake up each day reacting to circumstances instead of designing the life they want to live. They drift from one idea to the next, hoping that somehow the universe will drop success into their laps, without ever pausing to define what success actually looks like for them. The truth is, vague goals create vague results, and if you want to build a life that excites you, you must start by defining it with clarity. This isn't about simply saying, I want to be successful, or I want to be happy. Those are wishes, not goals. Clarity requires you to break down those vague ideas into concrete details. What does success look like in your career? Is it leading a team of 10 people, or is it scaling your business to 7 figures? What does happiness look like in your relationships? Is it spending intentional quality time every evening, or building a family culture that feels safe, loving, and supportive? Clarity means you can measure your life against the vision you've created, instead of measuring it against random circumstances. When you have clarity, your energy has direction. Imagine driving a car without knowing the destination. You could be the best driver in the world, but without a map, you'll waste fuel, time, and momentum. Life works the same way. You may have talent, ambition, and even resources, but without clarity, you scatter your efforts across too many paths and end up exhausted instead of effective. Clarity allows you to filter decisions. Every opportunity, every challenge, every distraction can be measured against the question, does this align with my vision? If the answer is no, you can confidently walk away without guilt, because you know where you are headed. Clarity is the shield that protects you from wasted time and the sword that cuts through the noise of the world. Clarity also gives you confidence. When you know exactly what you want, you stop comparing yourself to others. Comparison thrives in vagueness. When you don't know what you are aiming for, you measure your life against other people's highlight reels, and you always come up short. But when your vision is defined, you no longer need to compete with anyone else. You are running your own race. Confidence grows when you wake up each day knowing you are moving one step closer to your specific goal, not chasing someone else's version of success. This is why the most successful people appear so focused and unshakable. They aren't distracted by every trend, every opinion, every shift in the market, because they already know their destination. Clarity is not just about defining what you want, it's also about defining what you don't want. Too many people tolerate jobs that drain them, relationships that hold them back, and habits that waste their potential, simply because they haven't taken the time to write down their boundaries. When you get clear on what is non-negotiable, you free yourself from tolerating mediocrity. That decision alone will elevate your life. Imagine how different your days would feel if you only surrounded yourself with people, opportunities, and habits that aligned with your vision. That's the power of clarity. But clarity requires honesty, and honesty takes courage. Sometimes people avoid clarity because they are afraid of facing the truth. If you admit you want more out of life, you also have to admit you're not there yet. That can feel uncomfortable, but it is also liberating. When you get clear, you give yourself permission to stop pretending, to stop settling, and to finally take action that matches your dreams. Without clarity, life becomes a cycle of wishful thinking. With clarity, life becomes a roadmap. Clarity is not a one-time event. It is a principle you practice. Life will evolve. Your desires will grow. What felt important at 20 might not matter at 30, and what drives you at 40 might look completely different at 50. The key is to return to clarity again and again. Revisit your goals, refine them, adjust them, and recommit to them. Treat clarity as a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Over time, you'll notice that the more precise your clarity becomes, the faster your progress feels, because you're no longer wandering, you're building. At the end of the day, clarity is about ownership. It's about refusing to live a life designed by accident and instead choosing to design it with intention. Every breakthrough begins with the decision to define exactly what you want. Clarity eliminates confusion, fuels confidence, and directs energy. It transforms your dreams from abstract wishes into achievable steps. And when you live with clarity, you stop asking what if, and start declaring this is what will be. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Desire alone will never carry you to your goals, because desire fades with mood, with circumstances, and with time. Discipline, on the other hand, is steady, unshakable, and consistent. Most people believe they fail because they lack talent, but the truth is far simpler. They fail because they lack the discipline to show up every single day, regardless of how they feel. Motivation is temporary. It's like a spark that ignites the fire. Discipline is the steady fuel that keeps the fire burning long after the initial spark has gone out. Without discipline, dreams remain dreams. With discipline, dreams turn into reality. Think of the most successful athletes, entrepreneurs, or leaders. They are not necessarily the most gifted. They are the ones who mastered the principle of discipline. They wake up early even when they want to sleep in. They practice when no one is watching. They deliver work with consistency, not because they feel like it, but because they promised themselves they would. That is the secret. Discipline is a promise you make to yourself and a decision to honor that promise no matter what. The moment you break discipline, you weaken your self-trust, but when you keep discipline, even in small things, you reinforce your confidence and strengthen your character. Discipline is self-respect in action. The biggest enemy of discipline is comfort. Comfort whispers that it's okay to skip today, that you'll start tomorrow, that no one will notice if you take the easy path just this once, but discipline speaks louder. Discipline reminds you that every decision builds momentum in one direction or the other. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you build a brick in the foundation of your future success. Every time you choose comfort over discipline, you remove one. The truth is, you are never standing still. You are either building or tearing down. Discipline ensures that you are always building. Discipline also creates freedom. At first glance, that may sound contradictory. After all, discipline feels like restriction. But think about it. When you discipline yourself to manage your money, you gain financial freedom. When you discipline yourself to eat right and exercise, you gain health freedom. When you discipline yourself to control your time, you gain freedom to live life on your terms. The very thing people resist. Discipline is the very thing that will set them free. Without it, you become a slave to impulses, to distractions, and to other people's demands. With it, you take back control of your life. Another key truth about discipline is that it compounds. It may not feel powerful on day 1 or day 2, but over time, discipline turns ordinary actions into extraordinary results. Reading 10 pages of a book daily may seem small, but in a year, that's over 3,000 pages of knowledge. Saving a small amount consistently may feel insignificant, but in 10 years it becomes wealth. The small acts of discipline you commit to each day stack up until they create massive transformation. This is why disciplined people often look lucky to outsiders. What others see as luck is simply years of consistent discipline paying off. Discipline also teaches you resilience. Life will never go perfectly as planned. There will be setbacks, failures, and challenges. Without discipline, those setbacks knock people down for good, but discipline builds a habit of persistence. It trains you to keep moving forward even when conditions aren't ideal. It teaches you that showing up matters more than perfection. Discipline is not about never failing. It's about always getting back up and refusing to quit. That is why disciplined people succeed. They simply outlast everyone else. In the end, discipline is love for your future self. It's choosing to do what is hard now so that life becomes easier later. It's saying no to temporary pleasure so you can say yes to long-term fulfillment. It's refusing to let your emotions dictate your destiny. And while it may not feel glamorous in the moment, discipline always rewards those who embrace it. If you want to achieve anything meaningful, whether it's building a business, improving your health, or creating a legacy, you must choose discipline over desire, consistency over comfort, and commitment over excuses. That choice made daily will separate you from the masses and place you on the path of true success. Growth mindset is the difference between people who stop at their limits and those who break through them. When you believe your abilities, skills, and intelligence are fixed, you trap yourself in a box that keeps you small. But when you embrace the idea that you can learn, improve, and evolve, every challenge becomes an opportunity and every failure becomes feedback. The people who thrive in life are not the ones who never fall. They are the ones who see falling as part of the journey. They know that mistakes are not the end, but rather stepping stones that shape their mastery. A growth mindset shifts the way you see everything. Instead of asking, "Can I do this?" you begin asking, "How can I learn to do this?" That small change in perspective changes the entire trajectory of your life. When you adopt a growth mindset, you stop fearing failure. Fear of failure is the biggest chain that holds people back from chasing their goals. They wait until they are perfect, until conditions are ideal, until they feel fully ready, and in the process, they waste years of their lives standing still. A growth mindset destroys that fear because you no longer see failure as permanent. You see it as a teacher. Every setback carries a lesson that makes you stronger, sharper, and wiser. With this mindset, you welcome feedback instead of running from it, because you understand that growth only comes when you stretch beyond your comfort zone. The truth is, your brain is not fixed. Science proves it adapts and rewires with effort and practice. That means your current limits are not permanent. They are simply your starting point. The pianist who can move his fingers with grace and precision did not begin with that ability. The entrepreneur who leads a company with confidence did not begin with that knowledge. They built it by showing up every day, practicing, failing, adjusting, and learning. Growth mindset teaches you to fall in love with the process instead of obsessing over the outcome. Because when you love the process, the outcome eventually takes care of itself. This principle also transforms the way you see challenges. Most people run from obstacles because they want an easy path, but easy paths never create strong people. A growth mindset makes you lean into challenges because you know each one is shaping you into someone better. It's the weight of resistance that builds the muscle. The same is true in life. Every time you face a challenge with the belief that you can grow, you come out the other side stronger and more capable than before. Without a growth mindset, you crumble. With it, you rise. Another powerful element of growth mindset is the way it changes your relationship with effort. In a fixed mindset, effort feels like a sign of weakness. People who believe they must be naturally talented often avoid hard work because they think it exposes their limitations. But in a growth mindset, effort is celebrated. Effort is the path to mastery. The harder you work, the more skills you develop, and the more valuable you become. It's not about being born with talent, it's about being relentless in your pursuit of growth. Adopting this mindset also makes you resilient in the face of criticism. Instead of taking criticism as an attack, you learn to take it as data. You separate your identity from your performance. You are not your mistakes. You are the person who learns from them. This shift gives you the freedom to experiment, to innovate, and to push boundaries without fear of being defined by your failures. That is how leaders are made, how innovators disrupt industries, and how ordinary people create extraordinary results. The growth mindset is not something you practice once and master forever. It's a daily decision. Every time you face a challenge, every time you encounter failure, every time you feel resistance, you get to choose, will I stay fixed or will I grow? The more you choose growth, the stronger that belief becomes. Over time, you will notice a transformation not only in your results but in your identity. You will start to see yourself not as someone who has limits, but as someone who is limitless. And once you embrace that truth, You unlock a level of confidence, courage, and consistency that changes the entire direction of your life. Purpose-driven action is what separates people who live with power from people who live by chance. Motivation will come and go, energy will rise and fall, but when your actions are rooted in a deep sense of purpose, you create a force that cannot be shaken. Purpose gives meaning to the grind, it gives fuel to the discipline, and it makes even the hardest days feel worthwhile. Too many people rely on temporary motivation. They get excited when conditions are right, but that excitement fades as soon as life becomes inconvenient. Purpose, however, is permanent. It becomes the foundation you stand on, and once you build your life around it, nothing can easily push you off course. When your actions are tied to purpose, you move differently. You don't just wake up for a paycheck, you wake up for impact. You don't just chase recognition, you chase transformation. Whether for yourself, your family, your business, or your community. Purpose-driven people operate with intensity because they know what they are working toward is bigger than themselves. That's why they don't quit when the road gets steep. They see the bigger picture. They remind themselves that the sacrifice today is creating the reward tomorrow, and that their work is part of something meaningful. Purpose-driven action also gives you clarity and decision making. Without purpose, life becomes a maze of distractions. Every opportunity looks appealing, every detour looks tempting, and you end up scattered. But when you are anchored in purpose, you have a filter. You can quickly ask, does this align with my purpose or not? If it doesn't, you can walk away without hesitation. That focus saves you years of wasted energy. It keeps you aligned and consistent, and over time, alignment creates acceleration. The people who seem to achieve success faster are not necessarily smarter or luckier. They are simply more aligned with their purpose and ruthless about protecting it. Another truth about purpose is that it ignites perseverance. Hardship is inevitable, failure is inevitable, rejection is inevitable. The only difference between those who stop and those who continue is the strength of their purpose. When your why is strong, no obstacle feels final. You may get knocked down, but purpose gives you the resilience to rise again. You may feel exhausted, but purpose gives you the courage to take one more step. Purpose-driven action transforms pain into power because you know that every struggle is connected to a greater mission. Purpose also shifts how you experience success. Success without purpose feels empty. You can achieve wealth, recognition, or milestones, but if it isn't tied to something meaningful, the satisfaction fades quickly. That's why so many people reach the top of their careers only to feel lost. Purpose ensures that your success feels fulfilling because it is anchored in impact. It's not just about what you achieved, but who you became and how you contributed along the way. Purpose-driven success lasts because it nourishes both your achievement and your soul. Living with purpose also inspires others. People are drawn to those who are driven by something bigger than themselves. When your actions are fueled by purpose, you naturally lead by example. You show others what it means to live with passion, focus, and integrity. Your energy becomes contagious. You don't need to push people to follow you. They are pulled by the conviction in your actions. That's how movements are built, businesses grow, and communities transform, through individuals who refuse to live without purpose. Purpose is not something you find once and forget. It evolves as you grow. The purpose you hold in your 20s may expand in your 30s, and by your 40s it may deepen into something even greater. That's why it's important to revisit and refine your purpose regularly. The more connected you stay to it, the more powerful your actions will become. Purpose is the compass that guides you when life feels confusing, the anchor that keeps you steady when storms arrive, and the fuel that drives you when everything else feels heavy. At the end of the day, purpose-driven action means choosing to live intentionally. It means refusing to drift through life waiting for direction and instead deciding that every step you take will align with what matters most. When you live by purpose, you don't just exist, you create, you impact, and you leave a legacy. And that, more than anything else, is what turns ordinary lives into extraordinary ones. The people and environments you surround yourself with act as silent architects of your future. Whether you realize it or not, your environment is shaping your thoughts, your habits, and ultimately your destiny. You can have ambition, you can have goals, but if you live in an environment that pulls you backward instead of forward, your growth will always feel like a battle. This is why the principle of environment is so powerful, because no matter how strong you think you are not stronger than the influence of your surroundings. If you want to change your life, you must first change the environment you live, work, and grow in. Think of your environment as fertile soil. If you plant the seed of your dream in poor soil, it will struggle to grow, no matter how much potential that seed holds. But plant that same seed in rich, nourishing soil, and it flourishes. Your environment works the same way. If you surround yourself with negativity, gossip, and small-minded thinking, your vision will shrink to fit that space. If you surround yourself with ambition, encouragement, and high standards, your vision will expand to match it. The people closest to you become mirrors of your future. If they are stagnant, you will be tempted to stay stagnant. If they are striving for growth, you will be inspired to do the same. One of the greatest truths about environment is that it doesn't just influence you, it trains you. You begin to absorb the behaviors, language, and beliefs of the people around you, often without realizing it. If your environment normalizes excuses, you will start to make excuses. If it normalizes discipline and achievement, you will naturally raise your standards. This is why successful people are intentional about their circles. They don't leave it to chance. They know that who they spend time with is who they are becoming. Changing your environment doesn't always mean cutting people off completely, but it does mean setting boundaries. You can love people and still limit your exposure to their negativity. You can care about someone without letting their limited beliefs dictate your future. Protecting your environment is about protecting your energy, your vision, and your focus. And just as you guard your time and your money, you must guard your environment with the same seriousness, because it is an investment in your future self. Your physical environment also matters. The spaces you live and work in either inspire productivity or drain it. A cluttered desk creates a cluttered mind. A chaotic home creates chaotic energy. On the other hand, a clean, organized, and intentional space creates focus and calm. Even the small details, the books on your shelves, the images on your walls, the podcasts you listen to, are part of your environment. They feed your subconscious mind daily, and over time, they shape the person you become. There will always be people who say they can rise above any environment, but the truth is, you can't fight gravity forever. If you are in a toxic environment, it will eventually pull you down. But if you place yourself in an environment of excellence, accountability, and growth, it will pull you upward even on days when your energy is low. That's the beauty of environment. It does some of the work for you. Just being around people who think bigger, act boldly, and live with high standards will naturally elevate your own behavior. The principle of environment also teaches humility. If you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Growth requires you to be around people who challenge you, who stretch your thinking, and who push you beyond your comfort zone. The right environment doesn't just make you feel good. It makes you better. It forces you to confront your excuses, to step into higher standards, and to keep evolving. At the end of the day, your environment is either accelerating your growth or delaying it. It is either feeding your dreams or starving them. You cannot always control where you start, but you can always control where you choose to stay. If you want to create a life of excellence, you must intentionally design an environment that reflects that excellence. Choose to be around people who inspire you, spaces that empower you, and habits that elevate you. Because in the long run, your environment won't just influence your life, it will define it.